This is question. Is that supposed to? This is questions with Amit Elor. Take 1. Favorite place to travel? Probably anywhere that has good food. I love food, so I don't know. Maybe Italy. Pizza, pasta, gelato. Can't go wrong with that. What percentage of wrestling is mental? I'd say more than half of the percentage of wrestling is mental. If you're not focused and if you're not in the right place mentally, then the rest of your wrestling is gone. It's ruined. Where you are mentally is often overlooked, and it's really important. What would the title of your autobiography be? Go with the flow. I'm trying to be more original here. Oh, meet Amit. Have you ever been starstruck? Yeah, multiple times. Meeting JB, Helen Marulis, all of the legends of the sport, pretty much. I've felt starstruck just getting to meet them and even training in the same room as them. What's your go-to meal after cutting weight? This depends. Are we talking about immediately after, like on competition day, what's my fuel? Or are we talking about I'm done with competition, I get to eat now? So I've already made weight. I'm done competing. Probably my go-to thing will be ice cream. You can't go wrong with ice cream. It's always good. It keeps changing. I'm a foodie, so I love anything kind of strange or different that I've never tried before, different flavor combinations. It's always changing because I love to try new things as far as food. Anything interesting that you might not expect. I think the craziest thing I tried was smoked mac and cheese ice cream, and it was actually delicious. It had like bacon fat in it and cheddar cheese. It was really good. What was one pivotal moment in your career that changed your outlook on the sport? Probably during COVID, I struggled with a lot of sciatica. I had a herniated disc, and I was so close to quitting the sport. I was in so much pain constantly, and when you struggle with a major injury, which is part of the sport, that does change the way you see the sport. You appreciate just being healthy and being able to wrestle. Oh, I love this one. What makes you excited about becoming an aunt? Ever since I was 4 or 5 years old, I was asking my parents, and I was asking my older siblings. My siblings, there's some big age gaps. I was asking them, can you please have a kid? Or like, can we please adopt a kid? Because I always wanted to be a big sister. And so it's something I've been excited for my whole entire life. So becoming an aunt is just really exciting. And I can't wait at the idea of, helping this little girl with her dreams, and maybe that even involves wrestling. So it's all really exciting for us and for my whole family. What do you do to calm down before a match? So I'm not a music person. I like to hear my surroundings, get used to it. I really just have these internal conversations with myself. It's all about finding a balance between being prepared, slightly stressed, slight amount of adrenaline, but at the same time relaxed, knowing that any sort of stress I'm feeling will not change the outcome. And sometimes I literally think, I'm just a human on earth who has this one little fun thing that I like to do, and that's wrestling, and I'm just gonna do it, and whatever the result is, that's the result. And that's the way it is, and being stressed right now is not gonna help me, so I'm just hopping around, and I'm thinking all these things in my head back and forth, like good, bad, good, bad, good, bad, okay, let's go. That's the way it is. What was the toughest match you've had in the last 5 years? I think all of my matches have been tough in different ways. I've struggled with a lot of injuries off and on, and also this past year, dropping down a weight class, wrestling with low energy, having my muscles burning, not feeling like myself. So I've had multiple challenges. Maybe more recently, one of the toughest matches I've had was at our Olympic qualifier in Acapulco. I got thrown in the first 30 seconds. And as somebody with a lot of balance, that was unexpected. Unfortunately, I had a rib injury, so my whole entire core was in pain every time I flexed it. But I still trusted in myself, but it was not enough. I got thrown, and that was in the beginning. And so you have to take it in, be like, okay, that's it. I'm down in 4 points, and I'm still gonna win. I'm still gonna keep fighting. I have the rest of the match. So I'd say mentally, that's probably one of the toughest matches I had. What's harder, cutting weight for a big match or trying to explain wrestling rules to someone who's never watched it before? Cutting weight for a big match. I like wrestling. I like explaining it, and I like telling people who don't know about wrestling. I like telling them about wrestling. It just makes me excited. Especially after the Olympics, there's been a lot of people I met that told me watching me at the Olympics was the first time they've ever watched wrestling or seriously learned about wrestling, and that makes me happy. But cutting weight does not make me happy. So that's an easy question. How did you get into baking? I've always been into baking ever since I was little. I had an easy bake oven and I would make things in there, and I always helped my mom bake. And so it's always been a passion of mine, and I absolutely love food. I love it just as much as wrestling. I'm always excited about what I'm going to eat or what restaurant I'm going to go to, and that does not work well with having to make weight as a wrestler, unfortunately. But yeah, I've always been really excited as to how people create these amazing baked goods and things like that. Especially as I got a little bit older, I would always try these new recipes in my free time. And being from a big family too, it's super easy to bake because everything gets eaten, everybody enjoys the food. So I just kept doing it, but unfortunately as I got older I was traveling all the time for wrestling, so I didn't have as much time. What is something you feel strongly about that most people would disagree on? I mean, I think growing up a lot of the choices I made were out of the box. Being an independent study, the sacrifices I made for the sport, training multiple times a day, I think deciding to wrestle as a girl is out of the box in general. Rolling around on the mat with sweaty boys, that's out of the box, you know, but you still do it anyways because you follow your dreams, you follow your passion, you don't care what other people say. You're doing it for yourself, and I think that's important. How has your relationship with the sport evolved from when you started to where you are now? It started as just this fun hobby, this thing that I really enjoyed to do, and I never planned for this to become a career or a really big part of my life. It just kind of happened naturally, it evolved. I constantly wanted to do more and more with the sport and through the sport, and the more I stuck with it, the more I began to love it. And so it's just it's a relationship that just slowly over the years grew and grew and grew and grew, and now it's the most important thing in my life. Most tired you've ever been in a match? The first time I made 68 kilograms in 2024 here, it was a wrestle-off in Denver. It was my first time making weight. I did it wrongly without taking in the help that I needed from professionals who knew about dieting and dropping your weight properly. Instead, I was just running off of egg whites and chicken breast, and that's not healthy. Please don't ever do that. Please seek help and advice from professionals as far as cutting weight. And so I had this awful diet that had barely any fuel, and on top of that I was wrestling in elevation. And I was so tired that just having to get up and walk across the hallway was exhausting. So you can imagine how it is to wrestle a 6-minute match when you feel that way. That was my experience. Favorite wrestler, Helen Maroulis. Her wrestling's just beautiful. She's amazing. Do you have any wrestling pet peeves? Definitely not taking a shower after practice. You know, there's a lot of skin diseases going around, and you're rolling around with a bunch of people in other people's sweat on the mats. That people, sometimes they walk off the mats too, and they go to the bathroom wearing their shoes, and then they go back. So you can just imagine what kind of stuff is on these mats. And not showering after that, that's a big deal. What's your coffee order? This changes because, again, I'm a foodie and I will always try something new on the menu if I see it, and obviously if I can. But something that always hits the spot is a mocha. I am not a fan of anything other than real milk. I will drink it sometimes if I'm on a diet, but I am not lactose intolerant. I love milk, and I've been drinking milk like crazy ever since I was little. So that's just me, but definitely a mocha with milk. Sounds amazing. If you weren't wrestling, what would you be doing? I would probably be in university right now studying something in science, maybe in some sort of lab doing research. That's what a lot of my siblings do, and I have a lot of other passions outside of it. I have always loved like lab class, like chemistry, biology, physiology, like all those sorts of things that don't really work well with traveling a lot for wrestling. So I would for sure be pursuing school a lot more than I am right now. I'm just taking online classes and doing what I can with my schedule for wrestling, so I'd probably jump onto that. But I wouldn't have it any other way because wrestling has been amazing and I've gotten to travel the world because of it, and there's always time for something else. It's never too late to chase something else or start something else. What is your favorite quote? Oh, I don't know how accurate this is going to be, but I believe this is something that Dan Gable said is, once you've wrestled, everything else in life is easy, and I truly believe it. And thank you.